In the Black community, 72% of children are born out of wedlocks. Over 70% are raised in single mother households. So if you start to examine, the upbringing of the kids, then what happens is we start to look at mothers critically. And again, like I said, in our community, more so than any other community, single mothers and mothers in general are sacred cows. The reason why I say we have to look at narcissistic mothers in our community, in the Black community, we have a lot of issues, but it seems to be that the scapegoat for all of these issues tend to be on Black males. And we didn't get here by ourselves. This is not just a Black male problem or a Black woman problem, but however, a lot of the problems that we have, if you look back, it goes back to our upbringing. And people don't want to really critically examine our upbringing, because then you'd have to ask yourself, well, who is it that's raising these kids? And who's raising these kids are often single mothers. In the Black community, 72% of children are born out of wedlocks. Over 70% are raised in single mother households. So if you start to examine, the upbringing of the kids, then what happens is we start to look at mothers critically. And again, like I said, in our community, more so than any other community, single mothers and mothers in general are sacred cows. All right. So let's talk about some of the issues that we have in the community before we get deep into narcissistic mothers. Excuse me. So in the Black community, we have a lot of issues. We have one of the biggest issues that we have in our community is the issue of fatherlessness, right? According to the National Center of Fathering, we have over 24 million children that do not live with their fathers, right? And I think that number is about 18 million when you consider those who don't live with a father or a stepfather. So fatherlessness is a problem not just within the Black community, but it's a problem within other communities as well, white communities, Hispanic communities. I don't believe the Jewish and Asian communities have a significant issue with fatherlessness, but once again, like in most communities, they have that issue. However, in the Black community, it seems to be a much bigger problem, right? There are a lot of problems that come along with fatherlessness. You have like teenagers. 71% of teenage pregnancies result from fatherless families. 92% of fatherless women are most likely to get a divorce. Excuse me. Sorry. And girls without fathers have a difficult time. Girls who were not raised in the same household with their fathers have a difficult time not just forming emotional bonds with other men, but have problems forming emotional bonds, period, right? When it comes to sons, fatherless sons are more likely to be aggressive. They're more likely to be depressed, struggle with issues of low self-esteem. They do poorly in school. A lot of them get suspended or expelled from school. Fatherless sons are more likely to be incarcerated. I believe the numbers are somewhere along the lines of 80% of those boys who grow up without their father in in jail. 80% of those in jail grew up in homes that were led by single mothers. And that's not a knock to all single mothers. I'm just giving you the statistics. Yep, that's right, Sweet Jones. They join gangs. A lot of fatherless boys end up joining gangs and end up getting, they find their that fraternity and that male bonding through other street soldiers, right? So that's correct. And they're more likely to use drugs. So let's take a look. So when we look at those issues and we say, okay, well, what is the issue? Like why are so many black families fatherless. And for a lot of us, we grew up hearing that men just up and leave their families, right? I think I'm not alone in that. I think peace, Maud. Thanks for coming through, sis. We all heard that that it's men are just leaving their kids for no good reason. They're leaving their families for no good reason. And we were told that there's no good reason for a man to leave his family. And then we get older, we grow up, we find out that when you do the research, you find out, well, hey, you know what? It's not men that are leaving their families. It's women that are leaving their families. They're the one that's breaking up their families, right? All right. According to the American Sociological Association, that number is around 70% of all divorces are initiated by women. And was it the National Center for Health and Statistics? I believe it's a sub-agency for the CDC, has that number at around 80%. And some of the very same women who said initially that, you know, there's never a good reason for a man to leave his family, and that men are the ones leaving their family, once presented with this uncomfortable fact, they start to say things like, well, she must have had a good reason to leave. So now when the thought was that men are the ones leaving their family, they said there's never a reason to leave. However, once it's confirmed that women are the ones leaving their family, they said, well, there could be a reason. So what you're seeing is a moving of the goalposts, or an attempt to shift responsibility or absolve themselves of any responsibility.